You're listening to the Online Entrepreneur Experience with Jared Jenny and John Olson, aka Cheers.
Welcome to the next episode. That's Jared Jenny, aka SWR. I'm John Olson, aka Cheers. How's it going today, man?
Oh, pretty good. You know, the sun's shining. I'm sick of the snow in the winter. You're in Minnesota like I am, so I think we're both ready for some summertime. But I think we got some good value in this one today. And I think if you stick around for the whole thing, going after, you know, your goals and kind of figuring out a process to achieve those things is going to be easier.
Heck yeah. I'll kick it off with removing the fear of failure. Know what I'm talking about somewhat?
Yeah.
Because without failure, there is no success, because 99.9% of the time you're not going to come out of the gate and actually just hit gold. You have to keep going. And the entire process of starting something new, even if it is a day job, it's kind of terrifying because you don't know what you're walking into.
Oh, every single time.
Yeah. When we started our online businesses, I know you were just like me. I was absolutely terrified but excited at the same time. So,
yeah.
You know, I'll use the headlights as an example. In the pitch dark, you can only see as far as your headlights illuminate. You just have faith that your headlights are going to keep illuminating further and further and further in your business. Hope that makes sense, man.
Well, yeah. And if you're stationary, you can only see so far. You got to be moving, you know. And you and I have had this conversation many times over the last couple of years, but what's the only way you can fail? We talk about this all the time. There's really only one way.
You quit.
Yeah, you quit. I'm constantly, and I'm grateful to have, you know, multiple sources of income and different interests, you know, that I can bounce around from. And I was researching on my YouTube growth for my automotive channel. So some of you guys don't know that we have this podcast on the DFM channel that we do, but I also have my own automotive YouTube channel. And I'm always researching and that's kind of the cool part, right? Is these are two totally different income streams for me. But if I research on YouTube, it not only helps my personal channel, but it helps us as well. And one of the things I was watching today, the guy said, you know, every single YouTuber out there goes back and watches videos that they did when they started and just cringes at them. They're just terrible. And he's absolutely right. Like, the only reason I even keep mine on my channel, two reasons. One, I like being transparent with my viewers. You know, I like to be real. And when I started, they sucked. And two, if I ever put out a video now that like I'm not super happy with, I go back and watch those videos. So like, man, you know, maybe this one isn't your favorite video as of lately, but look at how far you've come, you know?
Absolutely, man. It's all about growth. Like, if I go back and look at my first go live, horrible. Like, I didn't even have people skills. Like, I was just like, I didn't know how, I don't know, I want to say shallow. Like, I didn't have any value to give, you know. I was like, yeah, check out this. You see the river? I think I said.
Yeah, you did. You're like, here's a river.
It's like, what the heck am I talking about?
Yeah.
And that was just coming up on 2 years ago. So, you know, from there to now, it's crazy. Like myself, I have a YouTube channel. I put 3 minutes to success on there. Facebook, I do 3 minutes to success. I do this podcast. You know, and it's all about growth and moving forward. And you have to be grateful at the same time, even if you're not where you want to be, because none of us are.
Yeah.
Usually. I mean, you can be satisfied with where you are, but you need to strive for more. There's always the next step of bettering ourselves. Like, you're like a beast on YouTube. Like, if I went and did a full video on like cars, I would sound like a jackwagon.
But it's, you know, it's all process and practice. I was going to say together. It's all a process and it's all practice. And you can't, if you don't experience failures, you would never ever get better at anything, because you'd feel like you knew it all. And that goes back to one of my favorite quotes. And I know I've referenced it on this before, but if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Nothing ever stays the same. And that's where the biggest pet peeve I have with any industry, anybody who is in the entrepreneurial space, is when they think they know everything. And we've all
Yeah.
seen them. We all know those kind of people, but that's when you stop growing and you stop learning. Like if you asked Kellen Chafee, who is one of the founders of Digital Freedom Movement, or Mark Wilson, I like those guys. And if you talk to them and you said, you guys know everything about business, they'd say, hell no. Like I learn every day.
Yep. And that's the beautiful part about our community. Everybody just keeps learning and learning. We keep getting better and better and better. There is no cap.
No.
You're not going to be hitting the ceiling, as I call it, you know, because like I ran a company for a while and she came into the room and she said, I feel like I'm stuck. I said, well, you're hitting the ceiling.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, you're staying at that paradigm and you're bouncing off it because you're too scared to break through that terror barrier and actually take action on something that is completely unfamiliar.
Yeah.
The way I explained it to her that really opened her eyes was, I said, when you started this business, you started out of a 1-stall garage.
Yeah.
Now they have I think it's a 3,800 square feet building.
Yeah.
95 employees. And that's out of a 1-stall garage. So yeah. I was like, I'm sure you had to just keep breaking through those terror barriers, you know, to actually become where you are.
Yeah.
And example, she was in her comfort zone. We're making enough to sustain the business, but we need to move forward, is what her brain was telling her, but her paradigm was keeping her right there. So
yeah,
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all about figuring out what the next step is. I mean, I sent you that thing with, I believe it was Steve Harvey the other night. We just message back and forth and bullshit, you know, for lack of a better term. And he was talking about fleas. And he said, you know, if you put a flea inside a jar and there's a cap on it, a flea has a 36-inch vertical, but it'll hit that top of that jar and eventually it lowers its jump. So it, you know, produces less, it jumps lower. And then if that flea reproduces in that jar, all of the babies that are born only recognize that little vertical instead of what they can actually do. And it's just an example of a freaking bug, but it's true with anything, you know. And as an example, like martial arts, for me, I've been blessed to, you know, have had martial arts in my life for the last 22 years. And I'll have a class and we'll have like an adult class where it's like primarily black belts, but some of the color belts that are adults will come. And they're always scared to like give the black belts advice, you know, and it's like, no, if you see me kicking or you see me doing a combo and my hands go down, say, Jarrett, get your hands up, you know, like we're all here to help each other. Just because some of us have black belts and some of us don't, doesn't mean that we know everything. And you can, just because someone's here and you're here, doesn't mean you can't help them. I mean, you can still help other people if you're not to their perceived skill level.
Absolutely. And that comes down to, like, I'll say ego and even confidence.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been in DFM, I think almost a year over you, 8 months or so, you know, and it's like, you give me advice. You've taught me so much in like the video aspect of everything and like how to talk, you know, where to put your hands. I mean, I used to be like all clammed up and I would never, you know, now I'm just, comes out and, you know, it's specialized knowledge and world needs to hear it.
And, you know, I think spinning off of fear of failure and a lot of these different topics, I think the biggest one, anybody, and I mean, I'm blessed to know a lot of people who have started different businesses, whether it be, I have a buddy that runs a huge fitness program here local to me. I have a buddy that's a plumber. I mean, I could go on and on for days, but the biggest thing I see with all of these businesses, and they couldn't be any different from each other. I got a buddy that runs a gym. I got another buddy that professionally vinyl wraps cars, you know, but they're both their own business that they started. And the biggest setback, I think, is people don't value their skills. And that ties right back to fear, because, and I can personally speak to this with my online business, with my auto business. You think, man, can I really charge that much? Like, are people going to pay that? Well, you're going to find out. Yes, they will. Like, we're our own worst critics, and you're going to sit there and kind of devalue yourself. And what's going to happen is then you are truly going to fail, because you're going to price yourself right out of whatever market you're in. You're going to go broke. You have to learn to value yourself as if you're someone from the outside looking in and being like, damn, this guy is a good business consultant. Man, this guy is a good mechanic. This guy is a good personal trainer. And if you ask people, they're going to tell you yes, but you're your own worst critic. So you're going to be like, maybe I'm only worth $15 an hour. And before you know it, you can't even afford to keep your doors open anymore.
Yep. And that, well, I don't want to say it, but that's even not a form of failure, because you'll learn something from doing that. And if you recognize and correct it, then you are a success.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to the next, and, you know, building that confidence, like I said. But yeah, it's huge. Self-talk is the biggest talk.
Yeah.
Because without you, there is no you. If you look in the mirror and you say something to yourself that's negative, well, that's worse than anybody, Joe Blow around you saying something negative about, you know, about you. So you have to guard your thoughts, as I say.
Yeah.
And make sure you're looking at looking on the positive side of things. That's what I wanted to say. But
yeah. Failure is great. You just have to know how to moderate it so that you can use it in a way that's going to benefit you. Yep.
Absolutely. Well,
I think this is good. And I think next week we should tie into, I kind of want to go back to consistency a little bit, and we can talk about how failure relates to that. And I know we've talked about consistency before, but I've been looking into this a little bit, and I think there's some pieces that we missed, so we can go back and touch on those next week.
Sounds great, man.
Awesome.
Well, I'll close us out.
Good.
And we'll see you on the next episode. This has been the next episode with Jared Jenny, aka SWR. I'm John Olson, aka Cheers. You guys have a blessed week, and stay strong.
All right, man. We'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.